answer that I just gave you is perfect for you. When I tried to explain that in my class to the young students, it's very difficult. You see, what happens, I have this problem when I try to learn Rashi with the young students. I explain the Gemara, and I say, okay, let's look at Rashi. They say, why is Rashi repeating everything? I said, no, Rashi's explaining. He said, yeah, but we already saw that in the Gemara. So, okay, maybe I shouldn't have explained it in the Gemara. I should have left it. But then they won't, if there's no explanation, you don't get it. Okay. So, the Reish Lakish's explanation is like this. The pasuk says that you put on it oil, you put on it the frankincense, and you bring it to Aaron, or the sons of Aaron the Kohanim, and they do the kmitza. Who does the kmitza? Only Kohanim. What happens before that? The flour and the oil, putting it into the vessel, doesn't say that a Kohen needs to do it. So therefore, since a Kohen, his service begins from the kmitza, so from the kmitza and on, it needs to be done by the Kohanim. Reish Lakish says that since the Kohanim service begins from the kmitza, so therefore, only from the kmitza and on, it needs to be inside the azara. But everything that's before, that does not need to be performed by Kohanim, could be performed outside the azara. That means that the kmitza is what really establishes it as a sacrifice, and putting it into the vessel and mixing it is not really a service. That's just pre-sacrifice, preparations. So therefore, if you do it outside, it's perfectly fine. Rabbi Yechon Amar Psula. Rabbi Yechon says no, it's invalid. Why? Kivan das yasa bekeli. Bekeli, who, since it's being performed in a vessel, nihidakuna loibai pnimi abai. Although it doesn't need to be done by a Kohen here, Rabbi Yochanan agrees with that. Similar to the shechita of a sacrifice, that doesn't need to be performed by a Kohen. However, it still needs to be performed inside the sanctuary, inside the courtyard. Tanya Kavasei de Rabbi Yochanan. We have a brisa that proves Rabbi Yochanan.
So non-Kohen can actually sanctify something then. You're saying if it doesn't have to be performed inside by a Kohen, that means when you put the flour in the vessel, it's becoming sanctified, no?
I guess.
Technically, they can sanctify it then.
Move with your father's chair.
What does Rabbi Yochanan hold? Does the flour become sanctified on its own? We didn't say.
I think it's together. I think so, no?
Together, I guess you're right. Tanya Kavasei de Rabbi Yochanan, we have a raya for Rabbi Yochanan. Balla zar ksheira. If a zar,
Sugar.
if a zar is a stranger. Stranger, zar. That's what that's the word, the similarity to the Hebrew. The stranger is the zar. I don't know where the strange part, the strange, but the last
Zar
part
is weird. That's it.
Oh, yeah, but okay. And is that modern Hebrew?
Yeah.
Okay, so the non-kohen that mixes it, it's valid. However, chutz l'chem esazar is psula. However, if it's done outside the courtyard, it's invalid. That's exactly Rabbi Yechanan's opinion, and we have a brisa that says that. It's a question on Rish Lakish. It's a proof to Rabbi Yochanan. Okay, next Itmar mincha shechasra kaidem kmitza. We mentioned this yesterday. There's two cases here that we need to discuss. If you put the flour in the pot, in the container, and the oil is there as well, the kohen is supposed to do the kmitza. Let's say before the kmitza is done, some of the flour falls out and gets lost. So now it's incomplete. You don't have the full measuring. What you have to imagine is you're about to make hamaitzi on Shabbos, and you lift up the bread, and half of the bread falls off. So you don't have the full loaf. That's in the temple. That's what it would be similar to, where you're about to do the kmitza, and the whole section of the flour falls out. Okay. So Rabbi Yochanan Amar, Yavi mitech beisav yimalena. Rabbi Yochanan says, it's okay, bring more flour and add it in.
We had this before.
We had this yesterday, 7 years ago. Reish Lakish Amar, Lo yavi mitech beisav yimalena. Reish Lakish says it's too late. It's interesting, because before Reish Lakish said that the Kemitza is what establishes it. And Rabbi Yochanan said that even putting it into the vessel, even not putting it, even mixing it. No, it's interesting that Reish Lakish should say that you're not allowed to add to it. Rabbi Yochanan Avar maybe mitech beisav yimalena Kemitza kavala. It's exactly the explanation. Rabbi Yochanan says, why are you allowed to still add? Why are you allowed to still add? Because you didn't establish it yet. That's why before did Rabbi Yochanan say that it was puzzle if it was mixed outside? It's interesting, no? It's not as symmetrical as I would like it to be. So, okay, Rabbi Yochanan says that the Kemitza establishes it, and therefore you're still allowed to add, because it's not considered set until the Kemitza is done. Reish Lakish Amar Lo yavi mitech beisav yimalena, that you're not allowed to add. Why? Because Kedushas Keli Kavala. Putting it into the vessel already establishes it. It's already, this is the mincha. You can't just replace it now with more stuff. Eisvei Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish. Rabbi Yochanan says to Reish Lakish, Chaser halog, if you have a jug of oil, imach layatzak imalenu. If he did not pour yet, it's talking about the oil of the Metzora. If he didn't already pour it onto his hand, so you're still allowed to fill it up. It was already put into the vessel. According to Reish Lakish, that would be a problem. You can't refill it. It's a strong question on Reish Lakish. Itma, we have a new case. All of that was before the Kemitza. Shirayim shechasr ben Kemitza la'aktara. Let's say the Kemitza was done already. This is interesting. The Kemitza is done, and it wasn't burnt yet. The Kemitza is supposed to be put into a bowl and then brought up on the altar. But let's say what's left over, the remnants, all of a sudden a piece of the remnants of the flour, of this dough, of the flour and oil, falls off and gets lost. You still have, but part of it is lost. And now the question is, what do you do? Can you go and offer up this this offering for a portion that's missing? It's a incomplete shirayim. Rabbi Yochanan Omer makter kaimetz aleim. You have some left, so Rabbi Yochanan says you go offer it up, offer up the kaimetz. Reish Lakish Omer ein makter kaimetz aleim. Reish Lakish says you can't be makter the keteret. Ali b'der Rabbi Lazar kulei amalei pligi. Yesterday we learned Rabbi Lazar. Rabbi Lazar says that you always offer it up, even if you're missing, if the animal gets lost, you still sprinkle the blood. You still put the, you still sprinkle the blood, even if there's no animal left. That's
how do you lose a cow?
What was the case? Maybe it became tameh or something? But he says even if there's nothing to permit, you see, the sprinkling of the blood allows the remnants, the animal to be eaten. But if there's nothing to be eaten, so then why are you sprinkling the blood? So over here, the offering of the kaimetz allows the leftovers to be eaten. We're saying that there still is some left. But according to Rabbi Lazar, there's no question, because he says you sprinkle blood, you would also put the kaimetz on the fire. Keep ligi aliba de Rabbi Yeshua. The machlekes between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish is regarding the opinion of Rabbi Yeshua. The Tanana was taught in the Mishnah. Nitmu shirah, nisfu shirah, of the shirah. Here you have the case. It became tamei. It got burnt. The remnants, or it got lost. K'midas Rabbi Elazar k'sheira. According to Rabbi Eliezer's measuring, according to his opinions, then it's all acceptable. But K'midas Rabbi Yeshua, it's psula. According to Rabbi Yeshua, it's invalid. Why? Because Rabbi Elazar says the main basar ain't dam. Rabbi Yeshua says the main basar ain't dam. The main dam ain't basar. That if you're missing the flesh, you don't sprinkle the blood. And Rabbi Elazar says, it's last week's parsha, I think, that you should do the offering the flesh and the blood. That you do the blood even without the flesh, even if there's no meat.
How are these two comparables? Because one is you still have the main.
That's what you're going to see here. Man the pasal Rabbi Yeshua. The one that says it's invalid, he goes according to Rabbi Yeshua. Man the machshir, the one that says that it is valid, ad kan lekam Rabbi Yeshua semal d'lei shtayr. Over there was nothing left. Aval heichad shtayr feel Rabbi Yeshua maidla. But if you still have some left, then Rabbi Yeshua will agree that you can do it. Your question is the opposite now. The question is according to the other opinion. It doesn't compare to Rabbi Yeshua, right? Let's see. The Tanya was taught in the Brayse. Rabbi Yeshua Imer Kol Azvachim Shabbatayra. All of the sacrifice in the Torah Shenishtaimem Kazayas Basar Kazayas Chelev. If there's leftover one kazayas of flesh, or one kazayas of chelev, zayrak adam, the blood is still allowed to be sprinkled. Kechatzi zayas basar, kechatzi zayas chelev. Let's say there's a half. We're on 9a on the bottom. Let's say there's a half a zayas of flesh which is to be eaten, and a half a zayas of fat which is to be offered on the mizbeach. Adam. According to Rabbi Yeshua, you can't sprinkle the blood. Why? Because you don't have a size, a measure that's going to be offered. You're sprinkling the blood for nothing. There's no fat. There's not enough fat to be offered, and there's not enough flesh to be eaten. And together they don't combine. The fat that's offered on the mizbeach. Uba Eily. However, if it's a burnt offering, then it's different. Why? Even if it's only a half a measuring of the fat, which is burnt on the altar, and it's a half a measuring, half a zayas, half an olive size of the flesh, which is also burnt on the altar, then they do combine. Because by the Eily, everything is burnt. So when do we say that you don't combine the flesh with the fat? That's only if the flesh is eaten and the fat is burnt. But over here, by an Eily, both of them get burnt, so it combines together to create one kazayas of an offering. Then he goes on to mincha. If it's a mincha, afa pisha kula kayemes, even if it's entirely there, la yizrak, you don't sprinkle. A lot of pages here. Mincha mayavidite. What are you talking about sprinkling? You don't sprinkle a mincha. A mincha doesn't get sprinkled. What is it summer of? Papa explains. Minchas nesachim. We're talking about the flour that comes along with an animal. Let's say every part of the animal is destroyed. The only thing that you have left of this sacrifice is the flour that comes along with it. So we're not going to sprinkle the blood to allow that flour. Zalka dait chamina. I could have thought because it comes along. Asi means it comes. Bahad means together with. Zevach, it comes along with the sacrifice. Ki gufa de zevach damya. It's comparable to the actual sacrifice. And according to Rabbi Yeshua, if you have a kazayas, you can still sprinkle the blood. So here I have a kazayas of, or maybe the mincha. I have all the flour left. I should sprinkle the blood. Kamash malan that no, it's not considered the actual sacrifice. Man de pasal. This was your question now. Rabbi Yeshua says that if you have anything left, you can sprinkle the blood. So Rabbi Yeshua should hold by the mincha, even if you lost part of it, but see if you have enough left to eat. Why should someone say that according to Rabbi Yeshua, you can't offer the kaimetz because you lost a section of the mincha? Shani hachad amar kra v'heir makayim min minchas as karasa. The kayan raises up from the mincha, its remembrance, which is talking about the kaimetz, and he offers that on the altar. Ha-mincha, ad the isa l'kula mincha. It says, min ha-mincha, from the mincha, you need the whole mincha there. What is that? Aleph. Yakter. You have to adjust this. If the whole mincha is there, then you offer it. If he Eily, and if it's not there, then lo yakte, then you don't offer it. We're adding in it changes the whole meaning when you adjust the words. And if you don't have it completely there, if the whole mincha is not complete, in other words, according to Rabbi Shua, we have a special pasuk here for mincha, which makes it different. Okay. V'idach, the other opinion holds, that says that according to Rabbi Shua, you're allowed to offer the kaimetz even though you're missing part of it. Mina mincha, mincha shaisa kvar. The mincha that used to be there is good enough from the mincha, from the mincha that was. Now you lost part of it, I understand. But at the kmitza you had a whole mincha, so now you can offer the kaimetz and you can have the rest. Okay. Eis ve Rabbi Yochanan l'Reish Lakish. Again, Rabbi Yochanan held that you're allowed to offer up a kaimetz. You're allowed to burn the kaimetz, even though part of the remnants got lost. Reish Lakish says you're not allowed to offer it up if the remnants got lost. It's not complete. You can't offer it up. Rabbi Yochanan has a question. Ad shalei parka nifras halechem. Nifras lachma halechem pasol. Okay. Talking about the showbread. You have 12 loaves of bread. Every Shabbos it gets removed. Before it gets removed, the bread breaks. So it says it's invalid. Ve'ein makter alav es habazichen, and you're not allowed to take those 2 spoons of incense and offer them up because you don't have a complete offering here. The bread is broken. Ve'im mishaparka nifras lachma. If after you took the bread off, then it breaks, then halechem pasal is not valid. However, umakter alav es habazichen, you're allowed to offer up the spoons of incense onto the mizbeach, and this is a proof to Rabbi Yochanan.
So what do you do with the bread? They just eat it?
Yeah, we learned this yesterday. I assume that they can't eat it, and they need to bring more bread because this was sanctified and it was never permitted. But
I think they have to wait the following Shabbos in order.
Yeah, I don't know how they would do it. They would probably have to bake the new bread right then and put it on, and then take it off. Or no, then the next week they would have 2. Next week they would have 4. No, that doesn't make sense. How would they do that? I don't know. I don't know the answer. Okay. So, however, what we're seeing from here is that the kaimetz is the offering of the incense. That's the kaimetz by the showbread. We're seeing that if you lose part of the bread, you're allowed to offer up the kaimetz.
That's the answer to the question.
It's a proof to Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said that you offer the kaimetz if you lose part of the remnants. Shiraim shechasru ben kmitza la'aktara. Ben kmitza la'aktara. Ben kmitza la'aktara. After the spoons, after the bread is removed, is that considered the kmitza? No, the kmitza would be the actual. Let's go a drop further. Amar Rabbi Lazar says, Loi perka mamish. It doesn't mean that it was actually removed. Ella kivin shigiyas mana leparik. Once it became time to remove it, afal pish loi perka, even if it wasn't removed, it's already considered like it was removed. However, what we're seeing from this brisa is that once it's taken off the shulchan, then you offer up the bezichen. The taking it off the shulchan is considered like the kmitza. So if it breaks, then the bezichen are still offered. So that's a proof to Rabbi Yochanan. See, I thought the bezichen was the kmitza. Now we're saying it that the bezichen, I guess the bezichen are taken together. That's what it means. Bezichen and bread are all taken together. When we say you took off the bread, it means you took off the bread and the bezichen. Remember we said 4 kayanim, we learned that yesterday. Okay, so when you take off the bread, you're taking off the bezichen. That means the kmitza is done. The bread breaks, and you still offer up the bezichen. That's the burning of the kaimetz. Okay, this last piece of Rabbi Lazar wasn't necessary for the question. It was just quoted here because that was part of the what was taught before. Amalei, and don't confuse Rabbi Elazar with Rabbi Eliezer that's about to be mentioned. Amalei, Rish Lakish responds, Hamani Rabbi Eliezer he. This is the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. Remember, Rabbi Eliezer held that you always offer up the kaimetz, you always offer up the blood, even if there's nothing left to be permitted, even if the entire animal was lost, or if there's no shirayim left, you still offer it up. So here, we're going according to Rabbi Eliezer. Amalei, Ana'amina lach mishnah shlema v'amrit li etz Rabbi Eliezer. I tell you a full mishnah, and you tell me that that's only the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. I'm not sure if he's referring to the fact that Rabbi Eliezer was not accepted because Shamuti, I'm not sure if he's alluding to that Rabbi Eliezer was sort of expelled from the group. And it goes on. He says, Rabbi Eliezer, if it would be Rabbi Eliezer, my area nifras. Why do you have to say that the bread broke? Afilu saraf va'avid nami machshir. Even not only if it broke, even if it got burnt, even if it all got lost, the same thing would apply. Ishtik. Rish Lakish does not have a response. It's shasak, right? Right. The sheket is not the same, although it is still. See, because the tough, it's in sheket, it's a test.
Yeah.
This is ishtik. This is a tough that gets added to it makes it a it makes it a present tense. I think the tough in the is actually I'm not sure what the tough does. It gets it's an added letter into the word. Okay, but we do have Hebrew. We do have
Hebrew. Tough means future tense.
Yeah, at the beginning.
Yeah.
At the beginning was always anything at the beginning is always going to be future. But the we do have many words where the letters get changed.
Yeah, it's changed.
Okay. B'amai shasak. Why was Rish Lakish quiet? Why was it like so disproven? Leimalei tzibur shani. Why doesn't Rish Lakish just say that when it's a community offering, it's different? And here, by the bread, we're talking about a community offering. Maybe we're talking before about a private offering, and you're not allowed to offer it up, according to Rish Lakish, if you lose the remnants. But here it's a community offering. If the community becomes impure, or if the sacrifice is impure, and it's a community offering, and there's no other way, you're allowed to do it. So istri nami chaseres. You can also. Because we have exemptions for community when it comes to impurity. Let's say that there's also exemptions if it's missing from some of the remnants. And because this is a community offering, the showbread, so we'll say even if it gets broken, you can still offer it up. You have special exemptions. Amar Ravad Barava says, Zoisei Meres, this tells us that Hachisarin Kebal Mum Dami Vein Balmum Betzibur. That even though you do have exemptions when it comes to impurity, but you don't have exemptions when it comes to a balmum. If an animal is blemished, you can't bring it even if it's a community offering. So too, if the remnants are missing, it's considered like a blemish, and you can't offer it even if it's a community offering. Yosef Rav Papa v'ka'amar lahashmaitza. Rav Papa was sitting and he said the following halacha. He said the previous halacha of Rish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan's discussion. Where Rish Lakish is quiet, he doesn't have a response to Rabbi Yochanan's question. Amalei Rabbi Yosef Bar Shammai Rav Papa. You have Bar Shammai in your Gemara? In the other Gemara that I had, it didn't have that. Okay. Rabbi Yosef Bar Shammai Bar Shmaya says to Rav Papa, it has to be, Rabbi Yosef, the regular Rabbi Yosef, is a teacher of Abaya, and Rav Papa is a student. It's missing it over there?
No, the shit of Rav Yosef says.
He takes out?
Rav Yosef Mila Eskinan.
Yeah, it was hard to put that in place because Rav Papa is a student of Rava, and Rav Yosef is a teacher of Abaya. So you're 3 generations off there. But if it's Bar Shmaya, then it's some other Rav Yosef. Anyway, okay, so Rav Papa said this over. Rabbi Yosef responds to Rava, says to Rava, Mila Yaskinan, to Rabbi Yechon Reish Lakish Minchas Aimer de Tzibur Hu Pligi. He can't answer that. that it's a tzibur. The whole machlekes between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish was about a tzibur. He can't say that by a tzibur there's an exemption. And I was talking about where it's not acceptable is by an individual, because Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish, they're arguing about the mincha sa'imer as well, when they said a mincha that's missing. So that wouldn't have been a good response. Amar Rav Malkiyai Tanachada, one brisa says, quoting a pasuk, it says, "Ve'viel b'nei Aaron hakayanim mekamitz misham malaikumtz misalta misham al kol v'nasa." It's pasuk in the beginning of Vayikra, talking about the carbon mincha. It says, "V'kamitz misham." He takes a kmitza from there, from its flour and from its oil. It says from the fact that it says misalta, from its flour, shem chaser kol shu psula, that if you don't have the full measurement, it's invalid. Mishamna, it says from its oil, shem chaser kol shu pasel. If it's missing anything, it's invalid. Tanya Yidach, I have another brisa that says, "Banaiseres mina mincha," what's left over from the mincha. This is pasuk is the following pasuk after the previous pasuk quoted. It says, what's left over from the mincha is going to be eaten by Aaron and his sons. This is excluding prat lemincha shechaseirahi v'shechaser kumtza v'shleihiktim milavaynasa. It's excluding a mincha that's missing, or the kaimetz is missing, or the levina wasn't offered. Klum. None of the levina was offered. I don't know if that's supposed to be there. Yeah. So, trei kroi b'chaseres lamali. Why do I need two verses to teach me if a mincha is missing some of if it's missing something, some part of it, that it can't be offered? Why do you need two? Lav, is it not? Chad lemincha shechaser kaidem kamitza v'chad l'shirayim shechaser ben kamitza l'aktara. It must be telling me that there's two times when the mincha could be missing, either before the kamitza or after the kamitza, but before it was offered. Now, Rabbi Yochanan said that if it's missing after the kamitza was done, before it's offered, then it's acceptable. You still offer up the kaimetz. So you have to do Rabbi Yochanan betarvayo. This is going to be a question on Rabbi Yochanan in two aspects, because Rabbi Yochanan also said that if the kamitza is if the mincha is missing before the kamitza, Rabbi Yochanan says you're allowed to add. Remember, you can bring from your house. That was we had two statements from Rabbi Yochanan. Before the kamitza, you can bring from the house. After the kamitza, you can still offer it up if it's missing. Umar says, "Loi." It's not necessarily so, because chad mincha shechasra kaidem kamitza. Yes, one is talking about mincha that's missing before the kamitza, which is not valid. However, the maybe being basically malena in. But if you bring from your house, you can fix it. It's good. You can add. So it's not disproving Rabbi Yochanan. It's only saying that if you don't bring, then it's no good. If you don't bring, it's not valid. V'chad, what is the other brisa talking about? Shirayim, l'shirayim shechaser ben kmitza l'aktara. Da'afagav de'makta kaimetz aleya ma'isen shirayim asrim la'achila. We're not. Rabbi Yochanan says that you offer the kaimetz, but he doesn't say that you eat the shirayim if it's missing. If it's missing, you still can't eat it. He just says the machlekes Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish is only about offering up the kaimetz. The bailu, because the yeshiva had a question. L'divrei omer shirayim shechaser ben kmitza la'akdara makta kaimetz aleim. According to the opinion that says that the remnants of the mincha that were lacking, that were missing, something got lost from it after the kamitza, before it was offered, before the kamitza was offered and burnt on the altar. And so the halach is that you go and offer it up. What is the rule about eating those shirayim? So, Amar Zeiri says, Amar Kra, Baniseres, V'layaniseres, Minaniseres. Zeiri says that you're allowed to eat the remnants, but you can't eat the remnants of the remnants. That means if it's missing, it's not considered the remnants. It's considered remnants of remnants. So you only have left from what was left. Rabbi Yanai says no. Rabbi Yanai says that you are allowed to eat it, because the mincha was there before by the kamitza. Okay. Kamatz bismal. If you did kamitza with the left hand, we're going back to the Mishnah. The sages said it's puzzle, and Ben Beseira says that you can do kamitza again. Minani Mili, how do we know this? Which opinion are we explaining here? That is puzzle. We're explaining the rabbi's opinion. It says that you offer the mincha, and he fills his hand with it. We're talking about the kmitza. It says, I don't know which palm of the hand we're referring to. So it says by the Mitzayra. It says there's two sections of a Mitzayra. One is talking about if he's wealthy and he brings the sacrifice. One is talking about if he's poor and he doesn't bring the original sacrifice. But either way, he has to have the oil. So in the section that's talking about the wealthy Mitzayra, it says that the kohen takes from the loig of oil and he pours it onto the Yotzkal Kafa Kaina Smolis. Pours it onto his left hand. So Kan Smolis, over here it's the left hand. Hakol Makim Shenemar Kaf Ina Ella Yamin. That means that everywhere else it's the right hand, because over here it says the left hand. The Gemara asks, what's it supposed to say? If he's supposed to put it in his left hand, then he has to put it in his left hand. It has to say put it in his left hand. It's not teaching me something. I don't know what's going on in other places. If it was not necessary to say that here, and you said it anyway, then that would be teaching it to me. That everywhere else is not the left hand. Why? But if it needs to tell me that he has to put it in his left hand, then it's got to say that. So the Gemara says actually, smala sachrin eksiv. The Gemara answers, acheres? You have acheres? I have achrina. Small sachrin eksiv. That it actually, we do have another verse. Where is the difference in the? This is verse 15. In verse 16, it actually says that the kohen takes his right finger from the oil that's in his left hand. So over there it says his left hand again. So it's extra. One of them is extra. The Gemara says, 1 second, you're trying to tell me that because it's extra, you're going to be able to learn from it. You just created a big problem. When you have an exclusion, it says it's something. It says, and we're going to exclude. So if it says it twice, instead of excluding, it's actually including. If it would say it only once, then it would be excluding. But ein miyat achar miyat, if it's excluding and then it excludes again, so why does it have to do it twice? Doing it twice is sometimes including. It's like a double negative in some ways. Okay.